Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast with me, your host, Dr. Morgan Anderson, clinical psychologist, relationship coach, love expert, creator of the ESL relationship method, and athletic wear connoisseur. My mission is to help you raise your self-worth, have great relationships, and step confidently into the next level of your life. Each week, 2 episodes will air featuring expert advice, live coaching, and tips showing you exactly how to improve your life and attract great relationships. You deserve to feel empowered, secure, and loved. So buckle up and let's get vulnerable. Welcome everyone to a very special episode of the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. We have one of our very own ESL program coaches with us and a graduate of the program as well. Amanda, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Just a little bit about Amanda. She is one of our coaches who supports in helping the women inside of the program, and people love meeting with her. She is incredibly knowledgeable, compassionate, empathic, and she herself has gone through the program and has experienced her own transformation. So I know people love that she can relate to them. And Amanda is also in a PhD program, obtaining her doctorate in clinical psychology. She loves yoga. She's becoming a yoga instructor as well. And she herself is in a incredible relationship. So I know we're going to get into more, but Amanda, tell us a little bit more about you. I know I'm just scratching the surface.
Yeah, thank you. So like you said, I'm currently in graduate school. I have my master's in clinical mental health counseling, and right now I'm pursuing my doctorate because I was really interested in the research side of things as well. And so I did this program back in 2021, in January of 2021, and it had a huge impact on my life. And now I feel very fortunate to be back in the program, but in the role of helping other women who are going through really similar journeys. It's just been a really great experience, and I'm so excited to be here and to just get to chat with you more about it.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, let's just dive into your journey. So 2021, tell us a little bit about where were you at before you applied to the program? And then like, what was it that got you to apply and say, wow, I really need this?
Yeah. So I would say, at a pretty challenging place in my life when I kind of stumbled across your work and the podcast and heard about the program. I had just gone through another breakup that past fall that was kind of very similar to relationships I had experienced all throughout my life, which I kind of saw were falling into this same pattern, and where, I felt like I really was putting a lot into them and not getting the same in return. And, also seeing some qualities and traits in myself that I wasn't really proud of or happy about, and knew that there were ways I could show up better in relationships. And so I think one day I literally on Apple Podcasts just searched like relationships because I was like, somebody help. And I stumbled across yours and I started listening to it like every single day, multiple episodes a day. I would just go on these long walks and listen and really like think about it. And I found they were really helping me and shifting my mindset. And I think, in one of them you mentioned having enrollment opening up in the program, and I just felt really pulled to do it. And it felt like a really important time in my life to do it. And I hopped on and I spoke with Amy on your team, and, she kind of coaxed me through any limiting beliefs I had holding me back from joining, and, made me feel really welcome and like that this was a place that I could really grow and learn. And I signed up, and it was all of those things and more. So it was really such an incredible experience. And I'm in such a different place now, mindset wise, in terms of relationships, but also just in general. Like it really shifted my mindset in a lot of ways. And I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love it. And I want to, I think one of the things that people really get to is like they have all this awareness, and it sounds like you had awareness of, wow, I'm repeating these patterns over and over. I feel like I, went through a breakup and here I am again. So there's this awareness of something is not working. Like there's something I'm doing that is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you had gotten to that place where you realize, okay, I am the common denominator here? Had you taken ownership?
Yeah, I think what helped me to take ownership more was, like I said, listening to your work and learning more about attachment styles and like diving deeper into that. And, I always say like things are so much easier said than done. And here I am, like I'm in the mental health world, like I have some of this knowledge, but it's really different to go from a place of awareness to implementation. And I really needed help with that implementation step. And that's what the program allowed me to do, was to be like, okay, like you have this awareness that you have things that you want to work on yourself that you've recognized are not like serving you in the best way. And that you are trying to get to this place, but you can't get there on your own. And, it's okay to let other people in to help you. And so, yeah, that's what I did.
I love that you shared that. And I think, especially those of us in the helping professions, I know this was myself too. I'm like, wow, I'm studying to be a clinical psychologist. And I would sort of guilt myself and say, well, I shouldn't be experiencing this. Like I should know better. Right. But in reality, you and I know that even if you know something logically, it's a whole different journey to really heal emotionally and to truly be able to show up differently. So I love that you got to that place of compassion where it's like, of course I can ask for help. Just because I'm in the mental health world or I'm in the helping professions world doesn't mean that I have it all figured out. And I think when we can get to that place and sort of like put our defense mechanism aside or our ego or whatever beliefs we have and just say, I need help, right? Just acknowledging that implementation. Maybe I know what a healthy relationship looks like, but I'm not able to implement it.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. And I remember kind of just, I don't know if you ever felt this way, Amanda, but I remember just feeling embarrassed. Like even in my cohort of the other students, like not wanting to talk about my dating life or my relationship history.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like, what's wrong with me that I keep doing this? And it seems like these other people have it figured out.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think it's so challenging, especially when, you feel like you're in this place of like, I should have this knowledge, like I should know this. But it really is like the kind of work that you do in this program and rewiring your relationship beliefs. Like it's super deep internal work, and it is not something that everyone chooses to go through. Like there's not everyone has this kind of journey and does this work. And I think for me, what I realized is, this is the kind of thing that I really need to help me also be a better, there's thunder, a better clinician, like to the people that I work with. Like I need to also, step in and recognize the areas of my life in which I can improve and which I need help. And that's going to help me also to help other people more. So that's kind of what pushed me. Yeah.
You know what I love about that is sometimes when we have such big hearts and we're empathic and we care about people so much, sometimes the thing that actually gets us to heal and take the step to say, okay, I'm going to work on this is we make that connection to, wow, I can be a better friend. I can be a better mom. I can be a better psychologist. Like when we make the connection to, oh, I can show up better for other people. Sometimes that's what my like highly empathic people need to realize in order to do the healing work.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that it makes such a difference. And like people who are empathic or like highly sensitive to others' emotions, you're taking a lot in, and, you know, having to process like additional things on top of your own stuff. So you really need to like work through and be able to process your own stuff so you can really support others. And that's in the same way.
Yes. And do it in a way that's sustainable, because I think sometimes if you are a highly sensitive person, the HSP, right? Like if that's who you are, you probably go through periods where you burn out, like you're really in tune to people and then you just want to totally shut off, and it's not sustainable. So I think acknowledging that you have to find a way where you can do relationships in a sustainable way, where you can continue to build them and deepen them over time instead of just getting totally burnt out. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think too, what I've discovered in the coaching role in your program is like that having that experience myself really does help me to connect better with other women and to understand the process and kind of the journey and what it looks like, and have so much empathy for them in that experience. Because I've been there, like I know what it feels like. I might not know someone's specific situation, but I know what it feels like to feel just like really lost and stuck in this place. And I think, you know, having that experience really helps you to connect with people in a different way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to dive into that a little bit more. Can you tell me like what it was like for you? I know you and I have talked about this at other points, but like what was it like for you to go through the program? And I guess kind of what was most powerful for you? Just tell us what it was like.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it was like, I feel like I went through my own, like, it was such a transformative period. Like people talk about like going through your like dark night of the soul. I feel like that's like almost what it was. Like I had all this stuff just really come up and hit me at once because of different situations in my life that kind of really like pushed me to this point. Like I had that breakup. My mom was dealing with an illness. So like I was trying to, you know, help support my family through that. I was transitioning to start, you know, my doctoral program. So I had like all these really like big life things happening. And you know, I was hesitant to do the program because I was like, it's just too much right now. Like I, to be honest, was kind of skeptical. I was like, could this work? Like, can I even do this? And then, you know, I started doing it. I started working through the modules, and right away, like I was just having so many realizations and making so many connections about experiences in my life, like in my past, in my childhood, in my relationships, and how they got to me to the place I was in then. And really quickly, like I was just seeing very clearly like how I got there. And it made me so motivated to want to move myself to a better place, because I realized where I was really wasn't like serving me and where I wanted to be. And I literally remember I was on break. It was like winter break for my master's program. And I drove up to Maine, where my parents have a house up there. I drove up. I was totally by myself. This was also like mid, like the pandemic, like the height of it. So I just kind of isolated myself there, and I spent a few weeks like really deep diving into it and just going through it. And I know not everyone has the luxury of doing it in that way. And it was really hard. Like it was really hard work, and it was emotionally draining at times, but it was also super rewarding. And like I could see the progress in myself so quickly that it just really like pushed me even more to like want to keep doing the work and want to keep expanding and growing in that way. So it was such a transformative experience, like from start to finish.
I love that you're sharing this, because of course, like it would be normal to be skeptical, right? Like until you actually are doing something and, you're in it, like you're just not going to know until you're doing it. But I love that you were able to get in and right away feel what change was happening, right? Like you were able to start realizing so many things, like putting the dots together and then just experiencing changes really quickly. And I think that's part of why, I mean, you know this, Amanda, like how a coaching program is different than therapy. Part of what we want to achieve in this program is speed of transformation, right? So it's an 8-week program, but you're able to come out on the other side of it a different version of yourself because of that depth. And I love that you talk about that it's painful, because I think that's important. And we have to know that, of course, if we want real change, we have to feel through some pain. But what that does is it prevents you from having a lifetime of suffering.
Yes. I totally agree. I actually had one of my supervisors at work this week say to me, comfort is anti-therapeutic. Like if you're comfortable, you're most likely not in a place where you are changing. And I think that, like you said, coaching in particular, there's a little bit more room to do things at a different, faster pace and, have access to more things in a more rapid period of time. And that's really like what propelled me forward. Like I needed something like that at that point in time to get me out of the rut that I was in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you think about like, I mean, there's just so many questions I could ask you, but just like the version of yourself that you become on the other side of this work, like what do you think some of the big shifts were for you if you had to try to describe it?
Yeah, I would say the first like and biggest shift that I had and have maintained is really like my mindset and my confidence and just like security in myself and like my worth and what I know I deserve. And that hasn't just been in romantic relationships for me. It is applied to all relationships in my life, like family, friends, professional relationships. Like I just have so much more confidence in myself, like that I know what my rights are in a relationship and I know how to speak to them now and how to clearly like state my boundaries, state my needs. And I didn't have those skills before. Like I really struggled with that. I was, I still am a people pleaser, but I'm getting better at, setting those boundaries and using assertive communication, all because of the work I did in that program. So that was a huge mindset shift for me that really has like stuck with me to this day and I know will continue to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first one. And then
I want to pause just for a second, because
yeah.
I think it's important to note that you talk about that it's been maintained. And that's what I'm so passionate about in the program, is that it's not like tips and tricks and strategies and try this out. Like it's actually core rewiring of your belief system so that you have transformation instead of just like, here's some tips and tricks, right? So anyways, I love that you highlight that, yeah, this is who I am now. It's not just what I learned to do, but this is who I am. And this is the transformation that I've maintained.
Yes. Yeah. It was a huge shift for me. And like it just continues to affect my life in positive ways. And I think the other huge thing is like that you have access to return to the materials in the program. Like I've gone back to it so many times, time and time again, to like rewatch things and just get those reminders. And like, sometimes you listen to something again, and even though you've heard it like 5 times, it hits you in a different way, or you pick up on something you never noticed before. And so I found like for me, going back to it, I keep getting new knowledge and new growth from it, even though I originally did it almost 2 years ago now, which I think is so cool as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. To have that lifetime access to the coursework and then revisit it and get something new out of it. I hear that from almost everybody who goes through the program, that they'll rewatch everything. I love that. And what about in your romantic relationships specifically? How did it shift things for you in your dating life and all of it?
Yeah, so that's the other kind of like big transformation piece I would say I had is it actually is kind of weird when I think about it, but I kid you not, like 2 weeks after finishing the program, I met my partner who I'm still with today. And we actually just moved in together. Like it is by far the best, like healthiest, most secure relationship I've ever been in.
You guys went to Hawaii. You're like,
Yeah.
you're living your best lives.
Yeah. And it's crazy because he came into my life right after I had this experience in your program. And I truly believe like the energy that I was putting out from all this work I was doing on myself from being in the program, like really helps me to meet him at that right time. And it just worked so well because like I had just done all this really hard work on like my core beliefs and what was holding me back in relationships and what were the pieces that I needed to own and work on. And I now had this great opportunity to implement them all in a really wonderful way, like with a really supportive partner. So I really like I still can't believe like the timing of that. I think it's so crazy, but it's a testament to that the program and like the work that's done in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, Amanda. I love that that you share that with us. And I think it is a testament to how powerful it is when we're really intentional about healing. And the way I like to think of it is creating the space in your life for that relationship to enter. And when you really intentionally create that space, it's only a matter of time before it shows up. So for you, it's 2 weeks, which is great.
Yeah, so I was very lucky that it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny, like that's definitely not the only, I mean, we've had people who 6 weeks into the program and they meet their fiance, and it's because, and I don't want to say it's the program, but it's because the individual takes the transformation from the program and really applies it to their life. And when you change how you're showing up, right, the people that you are attracted to changes, and the people who are attracted to you changes. And then you get a different result, one that you haven't gotten before, which in your case is a really healthy, thriving, securely attached relationship.
Yes, yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. It was just what I was attracting in changed. And like the universe like did throw me some tests. Like I definitely found myself also, attracting men that were super aligned with those old patterns or old like type of relationships that I would always find myself in. And, I think that was kind of for me, like at least that's how I viewed it. It was like this test. I'm like, okay, like I'm being sent these people that are aligned with this old version of me. And I know that that's not right for me anymore. And I've grown into this new kind of like higher self that I feel a lot more confident in. And so it also like I think just in dating, because I was dating like during the program as well, it gave me the confidence to really just be super clear in what I needed and wanted from relationships. And when things didn't work out, it was just like, oh, that's all right. Like something better is coming. Like I just had this knowledge that it was going to be okay because I knew I had put in all this hard work and that it was going to work out.
Yeah. You really connected to your worth,
Mm-hmm.
which is so huge because so many of us, we have these unconscious, crazy beliefs that we're just not worthy of it. So then we stay in scenarios that are actually kind of damaging to us. Meanwhile, we're blocking off a really great relationship. So to get to that place where you have security and confidence and you keep your love doorway clear so you can really welcome in what you truly deserve and what you have clarity on that you want, right? So I love that you're sharing this. I don't know about you, but in the past, when I was dating from an unhealed, unconscious way, every new interaction just felt like, I'll just try this out. Like there was no like, I'm going to know if it's right or not. It was like, well, I'll just try it, but then it
Yes.
changes.
Yes, I relate to that so much. I feel like my mindset in dating before was like, oh, this is so draining. Like, here I go again. I gotta, open up to a new person. And, I had all these like kind of misconceptions about what it needed to look like that I had in my head about like what dating was. And once I just got super clear on, kind of what my non-negotiables were in relationships, like what I was looking for, and dated in a more intentional way, it just felt so much easier. And I was able to look at it like, I'm just going to like spend time with a new person and like have fun. And, I don't have to be so attached to the outcome or this like expectation of what I think it's supposed to be. And that's when I was able to like really enjoy it in a different way, which was such a shift from before.
Yeah, not connecting your worthiness to outcomes in dating.
Yep.
Which is a huge, huge shift. And I think it's like people are like, wow, you can enjoy dating, right? Like, I mean, there's so much out there about like, oh, it's miserable, it's awful. It's like, actually, you really can enjoy it. And when I think about that old way, right, where it's like, oh, here we go again. This is a miserable process. I hate the apps. Like, what if I just invest in this person? It doesn't go anywhere and I'm wasting my time. Like all that, like unhealed, unconscious dating. It's really disempowering. Like it makes you feel so helpless and like your love life is just up to chance versus like a very intentional, conscious, securely attached way of dating is very empowering, right? It's like, oh, I can enjoy this and I can relax into this. Like a whole different way of being.
Yeah, such a different way of being and such a like happier way of being, and just more, just brought me so much more like peace and calm in my life. And yeah, I think that too, like what the piece you said about all those beliefs and how like kind of damaging they can be and hold you back. Like I didn't know half of the ones that I had until I did one of the activities in the program which is like rewiring your limiting beliefs. Like, and the stuff that came up for me in doing that, like I couldn't believe some of it. I was like, I can't believe like somewhere in my brain, I really am holding myself back this much. And so having that realization just like took that burden off my shoulders. And then I felt like, like this is really just my mind holding me back. And my mind is the only thing that's preventing me from making this a fun and enjoyable experience. And I was able to really change that.
I love that you bring that up because I think there's so many people who maybe are listening in the audience right now and they're like, I don't have any limiting beliefs. Because if you would have asked me that, like, 8 years ago, I'm like, I don't have any, but I did. It's like the unconscious is unconscious until we make it conscious.
Yes.
And I think we all owe it to ourselves to do that.
Yeah. I agree. And I think too, like part of me also felt like, being a mental health professional, like I've also seen mental health professionals because I think it's like important. Something I really value is having someone to go to and talk to. And even though I had done that work, so like kind of in my mind, I was like, well, I've done all this work in therapy. So like I'm good. I don't need to do this. And therapy is wonderful in so many ways, but also like this just gave me a different push and a different way of looking at things. And it really was like, even though it was in the context of a program with support, it was really like so much internal work. And I had never dove that deep before into that. So I think like I was really, because of the way the program was structured and like the time it was offered, I was really able to like dive deep into it in a different way.
I love that so much, Amanda. And, I think about it this way, like, hey, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, dedicated. You know how much time, few people know so much time to achieving my doctorate, right? Like I love psychotherapy and it is so great for awareness I think of it as it helps you know where you are on the map. Like it tells you you are here on the map, right? But it's not necessarily the thing that's going to help you get to where you want to go. So
Yeah.
it's a wonderful awareness tool. And then that's where coaching comes in and is able to say, hey, here's the framework for getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, it's like I said, it's that step from kind of the awareness to the implementation and like, how do I do that? Because I think that's always for me, like it had been kind of this big question mark, like how do I get there? What do I do? And so the coaching really allowed me to get to that point and to make those changes that I had been aware of for a while, but just didn't really know what to do with them.
Yes. I love it so much. One other thing, I'm just find myself being curious about this. Like, what was it like for you to do the morning alignment work and like really develop a vision for your life and have that clarity? Like, that's something that we don't really do in traditional psychotherapy. So I'm just curious, like, how has that work impacted your life?
Oh my gosh, I can't say enough good things about the morning alignment. Like I truly believe that that was like one of the biggest things that shifted me and like propelled this kind of transformation that I had. I still every day, like as soon as I wake up, it is the first thing that I read. And I've found a method that works for me, and like every couple of months, like every season, really, I update it with like my new goals and new visions for myself and like just keep adding to it. And it's really cool for me to go in and see where I was and where I am now. Like it also is such a good tool to measure your progress. But that really, like I notice a massive difference, like on days, for example, like if I wake up and for some reason I miss it, like I have a phone call, like interrupt or something, and I can't do it first thing, I notice such a huge difference in my mindset. Like it really does help so much to just frame my day and help me recognize like what it is I'm working toward, remind myself of like my worth and all the rights that I have and what my values are. And it's just been the greatest tool. And I think, yeah, I've honestly like I've told so many clients to do a similar thing and like make vision maps and do these things, and
Yeah.
because it's been such a powerful tool for me.
I love that. I love that so much. It really is. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about coaching is really bringing in that component of, okay, we understand your past, we know where you've been, but like, let's get really clear about where you want to go and what's the vision for your life. So I love that that's been so powerful. Myself having done it for around 5 years now, it's been cool for me to go and just see the older versions because I'll like update a new version.
Yep.
And it's like things just get checked off. So it really is. And it's not like, okay, we hear the words manifesting and like all this stuff. It's neuroscience. You and I know this, Amanda. Like it's actually neuroscience. Like when you change your thoughts and you change what you're focused on and you build clear pictures about your future, you're just more drawn to things that lead you to create that future. So sure, you can call it woo woo, but you could also just call it neuroscience.
Yeah. No, it really is like it is science. And I am the most like, I feel like I'm very skeptical of things. Like I've just always been that way. I feel like whenever I'm trying something new or doing a new thing, I just have to get so much information like beforehand. It's just the way that I am. And I feel like with this, like I did that, like, like with the idea of kind of like manifesting things and bringing energies into your life. And I realized how much research and things were out there about it. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like your mind holds so much power to really change like your day to day, and really big shifts in your life can happen. Like we can't control our external circumstances always. We can't control what happens to us, but those mindset shifts can really change your day to day experience. And that's been so huge.
Mm, I love it. I love it so much. And I remember meeting with you early on in the program. And I remember some of your DMs even early on, and you just kind of being in this place of like, oh, like, is this the right thing? Like, I don't know. And what an honor for me to get to see how you've healed and grown, and you're completing this doctorate and all of these things that you're becoming. I love it. I mean, obviously that's why I do what I do. But I just think it's so cool that you're in this place now where you're on our team and we get to work together, and you're supporting women who were in your shoes, like are like very similar place, even if it's a different story. It's like they're at that place where they've said, okay, I need to do something different, right? What is that like for you to be on the coaching side of it now?
Yeah, it has been like one of the best experiences of my life. Like it has just brought me so much joy. And I've worked a lot of different jobs, like being a student, and I've never felt this connected to a job, because I think I went through the program and had this experience. And so I really just hold like so much compassion and desire to just chat with other people that were in that same place. Cause like I remember how I felt. And, I just want people to know like they're not alone in dealing with these things. Like there's other women out there too that have these same experiences, and really just feel part of a community and like feel so supported. And it's been so amazing to connect with women in that way and like hear their stories and hear things that they're overcoming, and to kind of ease their minds with things that they might be, skeptical about or holding themselves back with, and be like, I've been there too. And I get it. Like, I totally understand like where you're coming from. And like, let me tell you like all the reasons why this was so helpful for me, like to be able to share that with other people and give them the comfort of knowing like, okay, like someone else has been here too, I think is really, really special.
Yes. And I love hearing from our clients that meet with you and they'll just tell me, you've been so helpful to them. And I think I just love that this has become bigger than just me, like back in the day when it was just me doing all the coaching. And, now yes, you can meet with me, but you can also meet with Coach Amanda here. We have Coach Dalma and Coach Rachel. Like, we have so many amazing women now on our coaching staff. And that kind of blows my mind. But I just love it that the women who go through our program get to access a lot of different perspectives. And I think each of us has our own unique strengths and ways that we help clients. So I am so grateful that we have you on our team.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be a part of the team. It's been truly, like I said, like the best experience.
I love that. I remember when making a shift into doing like, I call this, this is purpose driven work for me. Like it's like the calling on my life to do this kind of work and to go, oh my gosh, I love working, right? Like when you make that shift, it's crazy how good it feels to get to serve people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so cool to me to like come out of sessions, like coaching sessions with women in the program, and feel more energized, feel really good, feel like, okay, like when's the next one? Like that's really how I feel. And I've never, ever felt that before. So it's really cool.
Amazing. Well, we love having you, Amanda. I want to just ask you, like, what is next for you in your like healing and growth journey with your partner? Like, what are you working on right now? Because I know it never ends, right? Like you get to this place where you're just continuing to grow and expand, and it gets more fun because it's like, whoa, what's next? But yeah, what's next for you?
Yeah, no, it does. I think for me, it really spurred my love of like self-growth work and how much you can really do to just kind of shift things in your life and improve things. And so I love to read. So I read a lot of different books, from like, more like the business side of things to like more the spiritual side of things. I try to just get like a big variety. And my partner, he's really supportive. Like reading's not his thing, but he loves to like chat with me about what I'm learning and to get ideas like from me, which is really great. Something I'm working on right now is just like limiting beliefs that have held me back more so in my career. So I'm kind of like shifting to that focus. I know I was mentioning to you before we started the call, I have an Instagram page. It's a mental health blog. It's called The Healthful Healer. And it took me truly years to post on it because I was so afraid and I had so many beliefs holding me back. And in your program, I started to recognize some of that. And so I really wanted to expand on that work. And that's something I'm still working on. Like I still have some beliefs around it that I know are kind of holding me back from getting to where I want to be. But I'm just continuing to do the work and the practices that I learned through your program and, tweak them in ways that work for kind of these new beliefs I see popping up and what I can do to work through those and get through those moments.
I love it so much. I think about like teaching someone to fish instead of giving them a fish. And like, that's what the program does. It's giving you these tools that you can apply at every level of your life. Right. And especially career, friendships, it does apply everywhere. That's not something I always tell people, but it's like, yeah, this stuff applies to every area of your life as well, which is great. And we will put your Instagram page in the show notes so people can connect. It's just The Helpful Healers or any like underscores. How do they find it?
Yeah, so it's on Instagram at the.helpful.healer. So there's just those two periods in there if you're looking for it.
Amazing. Yeah. And we will put it in the show notes. And, I went through that same exact thing when I was building this business of just like, well, what will people think? And, some of my worst fears even came true. Like I had psychologists be like, oh, you shouldn't be a coach or like, what is coaching anyways? Or like, but then it was like to go through my greatest fear and realize that it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Was probably the best thing that could happen to me. And then you just get to this place where you go, I care so much more about helping people than I do about what some of my random colleagues might think,
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I've kind of run into the same thing in the professional world, and people have different comfort levels with like what they're willing to do professionally and like what they're willing to share of themselves. And I think like in the field of psychology, especially, it's really becoming much more common for social media to be a part of it. And like for me, I just saw this huge gap in like I'm learning all this stuff, all this research, all these great new things in school. And, who reads research journals besides academics?
Yeah.
Nobody. So I'm like, people need to know this information. Like people have a right to know like how they can expand and improve their mental health. And like you said, it just kind of became that desire of like, this is more, feels more important and feels more like what is driving me to do this. And so like, I didn't really care anymore about others' opinions of it because I knew like my intentions were good and I was trying to, do this to help more people.
I love it. I'm excited for you to continue to grow that. And obviously being a part of our team. And just you bring so much light to people. And I think you're just getting started. So, thanks for coming on and doing this interview. I do have one other question for you that I ask everybody. That is, if you were walking down the street and you have a random person come up to you, and they say, what is your best life advice? It doesn't have to be of all time, but just right now in this moment, what would be Amanda's best life advice?
That's a really good question. I think what I would say, and this is like a piece of advice that has really helped me, is you don't have to do it all at once. Like there's so much information out there and so many like self-help and development things that sometimes it can feel super overwhelming. Or you're like, I gotta be doing this. I gotta meditate. I gotta do yoga. I gotta journal. I have to practice gratitude. Like it just feels like so much. And so for me, like the most helpful piece of advice has been, what can I do each day that is like a small step toward my larger goal? Like if I can just get, think of it as getting like 1% better each day, like where will I be 3 months from now? Like where will I be a year from now? And just taking those really small steps to get there and not letting yourself, get too wrapped up in the future or the outcome, but really like enjoying the moments. Because even though the journey can be really hard and very emotional, like I said, it also does have moments that are really beautiful and great. And I think you wouldn't recognize those if you didn't go through the hard times.
This is such good advice. It reminds me of a book I read last year called The Slight Edge, which just talks about that 1% better every day.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I think too, just to add to what you've said, which is so well put, but just to add that sometimes we get so caught up on the outcome of like, well, we want this desired goal, instead of saying, how can I sort of just fall in love with the day-to-day process and just appreciate those small victories, instead of saying, well, I'm a failure if I don't get to XYZ goal by insert date. You know what I mean? Like you have to fall in love with the process of healing and the process of growth. And then that's what makes it that sustainable, lifelong journey.
Yes, you said it perfectly. I totally agree.
Love it. Well, Amanda, thank you so much. And I think I want to ask you, are you okay with people reaching out to you if they have questions about the program, since you are a graduate and have coached people?
Yeah, of course. I would love to talk to anyone, like, especially like if you're feeling on the edge or skeptical like I am, like if that's, if you're feeling really nervous or hesitant, that's how I felt going into it. And, it really was helpful for me to connect with people in the program and know, like, no, you're going to be supported through this. So I'm more than happy to like talk to people about my experience and to help them, get clarity or answers to whatever they need to feel safe, like taking that jump too.
I love that. What's the best way for them to like DM you if they wanted to reach out?
I do check. So my Instagram that I mentioned, I check that really frequently. So they can definitely reach out to me on there. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best
Perfect.
way.
That'd be the best way. Okay, awesome. We'll put it in the show notes. I just know you're such an incredible resource given that you've graduated and now been the coach. So once again, thank you so much for your time and sharing your journey. I know it's going to give people so much hope. Just really appreciate you taking the time to be vulnerable with us today.
Yeah, thank you so, so much for having me.
Of course. And we are wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon. Bye.
Bye.